I did everything right, so why do I keep failing? Why do I still feel like I am failing every time I try these things? Well, my question to you is, did you fail or did you learn? Now, my free 28-day life map program, it'll help keep you focused and moving forward towards your goals, even when you feel like a failure. You'll find the details below, but first, let me tell you a story about my failure. Now, I've spent the last 15 years fighting chronic fatigue and different health conditions that came with that crippled my life, and it was eventually diagnosed as chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, but ended up being far bigger than that. So I worked tirelessly to improve my health, working with the best doctors, specialists, health coaches, naturopaths, Chinese medical practitioners, anyone that I could do. And then I found out I had more issues like Lyme disease, candida, parasites, massive toxicity, migraines, mental health blocks, so much more. Now, every step I took, it seemed to reveal more and more issues, more and more problems. So I often felt like I was getting nowhere. I followed protocols to the letter. I was so disciplined, 100% strict on diets. I would be taking all the supplements and medications that I needed to on a regular basis. I did any of the exercises, any of the health practices that I was asked to do, whatever it took. I often felt worse after doing that than when I started. Now, while you might have done everything right, you may not have seen the results that came, or you may have just sort of shut them down because you were so focused on one particular result you didn't see what else was going on there. Sometimes we see them as not being good enough, and we often fail to celebrate the wins, the small victories that happen at the same time. But these small victories, they are the ones that add up to the big victories in the long term. So if you are feeling like you're failing, let me help try and reframe that, because I want you to see the progress and how far you're moving forward just by doing these things, even when you feel like a failure. So first of all, track everything. Before you do something, track where your starting point is, track what's going on during that point, track what's going on at the end. From a health point of view, I would have a plan of what I was going to do. I will generally have, I might have like photos, or I might have weights, or I might have blood test results, or I might have other test results that give me a baseline of where I'm at exactly. I know where I'm at when I start, and then when I go through the protocol, I can see how I feel based on that information. I'm able to record, oh, yep, I've got progress here. I can see this. I was able to do this. I wasn't so able to do this. This thing seemed to work well. This thing didn't seem to work well. But I'm just sort of keeping track of it as I go. In fact, I have a spreadsheet that I basically use. It's just like I have it printed out on a A4 piece of paper, and it's just tick boxes. It takes me about a minute to do every evening. But I have a list of different things that I want to do through the day, or things that I want to do through the week, so that if I mark them off, I now have the data to be able to go back and look at to see how I went, what I did, what I was consistent with, what I wasn't so consistent with. Last part of that tracking is make sure you check your results at the end. So often the results at the end, sometimes we're just so exhausted by the time we get to the end and relieved that we want to go back to our regular habits. You might go back to regular food or regular lifestyle habits or whatever it is, and then you don't even see those final results. You don't have any of the tracking for those final results because you're just so focused on the relief that you get on the other side of cutting something out of your life or doing something difficult and then having to go back and being able to put it into that easy basket again. So remember, if you've got the information for where you are starting, what you're doing in the meantime, and where you're finishing, you're able to see where things are at, which leads us on to number 2. You want to assess everything. You want to see what worked and what didn't work, which is why you need that data in the first place. If you've kept track of it, you can now see what is going on. With my health, I actually have a list in my phone that I keep, which basically just says about the different health progress things that I've done each month. And I'll just keep a little note in there, and it might only be like a few words or whatever, but it just gives me an idea of something that I can go back to and say, all right, well, my spreadsheet is telling me I was feeling pretty good at this stage, and it tells me that I was doing this particular protocol or this particular thing. how was I feeling? And I'd go back to the month and I'd have a look at that. It was like, oh, wow, okay, I was actually able to do that. And that was really good. That was definitely an improvement of what I was able to do over the previous month. Something is working here. I've got information to be able to tell me where I was at. And then I've got tangible data to tell me that this thing was working. And that gives me the encouragement and motivation to keep on going and doing whatever that thing is. So after you've done the assessing part, it's time to try it, test it, tweak it, try it again. This is always your process. You go in and you work on something, whatever it is. Doesn't matter if it's in life, business, health, relationships, whatever. You go and try something. You see what that is. You see what happens. You're basically using that like as a test run, because you're just putting the plan into place and seeing what happens. And then you take a bit of that information. You've tracked it. You've assessed it. After assessing, you got to tweak that program a little bit if it didn't quite work. Okay, that worked well. That didn't work well. Let's change that one around a little bit. Let's do a little bit more of this because that was really good over here. And now you've tweaked your program. You've tweaked your plan. You go at it again. You're probably going to get better results that second time. You do it that second time. You have a look at the data again. All right, what worked really well? What didn't work really well? Well, this time, this thing still worked well, so I'm going to keep on doing that. And this thing, it was okay, but I've got another idea of something I can try. I might sort of switch that in and see how that goes. You switch it. You're just constantly tweaking things. So anytime a plane or a ship leaves its destination, leaves its initial location for the destination, do you think it goes in a dead straight line? Absolutely not. It can't do that if your navigation is off by only 1 degree, even less. You are going to be so far off course if it is over a large distance. You have to constantly recalibrate where you are going back towards the destination. That's that try, test, tweak, try again. You're constantly just refining your process until you get to where you want to get to. Now, that's not failure. That is refinement. That is getting better. That is improvement. And that is something that is really important. Lastly, make sure you celebrate your wins. Small or big, doesn't matter. Often we discount the small wins that we have because we feel like they're insignificant, that they haven't really done anything. It's not the result that you want. It's not the big end result. But you have to realize that you did something that was hard and you got a result that's positive. If you can celebrate that win, you're now building on your success. You are giving yourself a high five, a clap on the back, whatever it is. I have done this thing and I got this result and it was good. It worked. I know I'm on the right track. Good. I'm pumped up and I'm excited. I'm going to keep going. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you focused on what you want to do. The cool thing with wins is, like, if they're small, you stack the small wins. You stack them on top of you. Stack. All of a sudden, you end up at this point, you've got this massive win at the end. But you want to be able to celebrate it so you can actually acknowledge that that was a win. Just like I keep track of those cool health achievements that I've done that might only be a few words. I can go back and have a look at that and I'm like, wow, okay, I really did well with that. I can't believe I was able to get to that point. I can't believe that I had that win. I'm going to give you an example of what's happened over the last month for me. So we've just gone through Christmas and New Year's, and it's been an absolutely chaotic time for me. The lead up to Christmas, there were so many parties going on and I was still working really hard and I was already burnt out and exhausted. I didn't really have much time for a break, but I had to take little breaks here and there and just sort of back off what I was doing on my work side of things because I just didn't have the energy to do it. Now, the upside of that was I had probably the most enjoyable month of my life in the last month, at least in recent memory. I had my best day ever, my favorite day in a very long time on the prior Sunday, which is 4 days ago, I think. Just one of the most enjoyable days of my life. I was so happy and excited to be there. I was buzzing through the week, and I'm still kind of on that high at the moment. Now, take it back a few more days. I was able to go for a surf. I haven't done much in the way of surfing for several years. Maybe it could even be up to like 4 or 5 years by now. In the last month, I've been surfing twice, and the joy that I get from surfing is amazing. It is just like, yes, I feel like I am alive in my body and I can do something. I'm getting something back that's important to me, that brings me so much joy and just recharges my body, my mind, and my spirit. I'm just so excited about it. A few days before that, I think we had Christmas Day, incredible day, spent with family and friends, because there are multiple events that myself and one of my friends run on Christmas Day for anyone and everyone's family, friends, whoever. Anyone who doesn't have plans, we invite them along. So we end up having a great time with whoever is around. Everyone's included. Everybody is happy. Everyone lifts everybody else up. Everybody wins. It's a big win for all of us. So we celebrate that. Go back a little bit further. I mentioned that the Sunday 4 days ago was my best day of the year in I don't know how many years. 2 weeks prior to that, I had another Sunday, which was my best day in I don't know how many years. And the previous Sunday has just superseded that one. There were so many cool peak experiences that happened in that last month. And now I have record of all of that on my phone. I have record of that from some of the photos that I have, some of the memories that we made with those people through there. Honestly, even just talking about it gets me excited, and it brings my energy up, because I know that all of those things that I did to get to that point were totally worth it, because I got the reward. And I might not be jumping out of my skin with all of the energy that I ever want right now, but I'm a hell of a lot closer. I can see that I've done the work, and I can see the results that I got, and I am happier and I'm happier, and I'm jumping out of bed with excitement, ready to go. I'm fired up about my work. I'm fired up about what's going to happen for the year. It's good. It is very good. But I have a process. I celebrate those wins, and I do all of these things. If you put them into your life, you'll find that same thing. So treat failure as a learning experience. The most successful people will fail far more than anybody else. Colonel Sanders, 1,009 times he was rejected trying to sell his KFC recipe. Be that persistent. You'll be able to see progress in your life. Be able to continue moving forward. Be motivated. Be confident. Build discipline. All right? That failure is not really failure. It's a step towards success. All right? Think about it like this. I talked about stacking wins. Stacking failures, guess what? It's still getting you closer to your goal. Look. Same thing. All right? It doesn't take much. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure just shows you the way that isn't supposed to be doing that particular thing. Or it shows you a way to make it a little bit better, because you can learn and learn and learn, constantly level up, move closer to your goals. Now, if you want help getting closer to your goals and living a lifestyle that is way more in line with what you want, and giving that energy to be able to jump out of bed and really get into your day, live life to the max, and just have the best time. My free 28-day coaching program, you'll find the link below. Jump in. I will coach you for 28 days on how to design, build, and live a life that just gets you absolutely amped and really brings out the joy in your life, makes you not feel like a failure, makes you feel like a success, makes you feel like you are getting on your way to the goals. All right? I'll see you on the inside.